Hi, good morning, everybody. I'm gonna do my morning routine as usual. Just realized I have some dishes. That's not gonna be good. You know, today, definitely don't want to get too emotional, but I am gonna share with you a little bit. Maybe I should share more, but you know, I heard a song, and songs are really great, and they oftentimes can inspire us or just touch our hearts, And the song was basically about kind of certain regrets in life, and sometimes how our fears and things get us to hold back. And sometimes when you hold back, you don't, you're not really living life, and then you lose that opportunity. And I've been thinking about, I've been reflecting a lot on life lately because I reflect on it all the time, but I think that, as you get closer to the end, some people don't think about it. I think most of us should. And you know what? I apologize for this. I was not expecting to have to do this dish. And actually, I'll tell you, there was made a very interesting meal yesterday, which is why this dish is so dirty. I can maybe show you that if you guys want. But yeah, anyway, life is short. And I don't know about you guys. I've heard people say that, I've heard some people literally say they have no regrets. And I wish I could say that, but I have a lot of them. But luckily, a lot of times we can change that around. And my regrets, luckily I don't have too many regrets about anything I've done to anybody else. Most of my regrets are things that I've done to myself. Or just, in life, just being too fearful sometimes, because life is really fearful. One of my weird things for me was I was really afraid of being homeless. And I didn't think about why per se a lot. But when I got older, I kind of realized, it's my guess. I think I was really worried about being homeless because I saw so much of it when I was a kid, growing up in very poor, areas, and seeing people, forget homes. A lot of times I didn't even have any clothes, as crazy as that sounds. I still have those memories. They must have really affected me. And, there's people, I guess, who don't have money and they don't worry about being homeless, but I was always worried about it for some reason. And, there's all these little worries, but I think the big one, at least where I feel like I can make a difference, and hence the reason I'm making this video even right now. We'll see if I even keep it posted. Who knows? I might just delete it. But I think in my particular life, I think it's important in anybody's life to find how you can touch other people's lives, what we can give. And I don't really particularly like it sometimes, but somehow, all the medical issues and everything that made me dig. Well, it wasn't just medical issues, it was my life. For those of you who don't know, it appears that I'm really not supposed to be alive right now. Many times over. And all that suffering and all those medical issues got me to dig. And for those of you who don't know my personality, when I dig, I just don't quit. I just have a weird personality. I think a lot of it is my Asperger's and just kind of the strangeness of me. But I don't dig on a lot of things. There's very few things that I dig on and know a lot about. And when my life was on the line, and it was mostly suffering. I think it was the suffering that was more than afraid of death, because I wasn't really that afraid of that part. And it just got me to dig. And guys, I don't know if you've even seen even the latest interview I just did with the doctor. If any of you guys got to catch it, that guy. I'll tell you, to me, that doctor that did that interview with me, what I mean, not only a kind, intelligent, you know, gentle soul, way more eloquent than myself. In my opinion, definitely smarter than me. And but he was so grateful, you know, to me because of, you know, finding a way, you know, with these different types of protocols that he sees helping him, you know, being very helpful to his health, which means it's going to affect his life in a positive way. And so, you know, we have a lot of chances in life, guys. And good morning, everybody. First one, wholeness, grand rising. And and I think that there's just times in life when, you know, you're going to run out of time. We're all going to run out of time. And I think that of all the things in life, now this is just my personal opinion, and you guys also know, remember, I never give medical advice or make any claims. But I think that in life, yeah, we're going to run out of time. And one of the most important things for us to even just be able to live life is having our health. You know, we can't be sick, you know, when you're trying to raise kids or take on a dream or do whatever. But, you know, you can't be sick. And there's so many people in the world that are sick. And a lot of times we really don't know what to do. I mean, even brilliant doctors, you know, they don't know what to do. And, you know, and I'm certainly not saying that at least like my health protocols or anything fix everything, because they don't. There is nothing out there that fixes everything. No doctor, no there's nobody. There are things that are quote unquote unfixable, and that sucks. However, you know, what have I seen? I've seen these different protocols do a lot of things. I mean, a lot. Even surprising how many, actually. And so if it can help some people, but the problem is, you know what the problem is that a lot of these protocols require discipline. And that's been the biggest, most difficult obstacle that I've seen with people, is the discipline aspect. And it's sad because I've literally seen people, excuse me, I just woke up and just finished having my hydrogen water, and this is my next step. I've literally seen people who just cannot seem to overcome the addiction to garbage. When I say garbage, I'm like garbage food, maybe soda pop, maybe whatever. Just bad habits, right? Whatever they may be. Even when there's people who love them, even when these people have children, a husband, a wife, and they just can't get themselves to change their life. And you know what? I get it. You know, I think that because life is so hard and so stressful and all these different things that happen in life, yeah, we have what we call crutches, you know, and sometimes it's, you know, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, or just garbage food, you know, or what we call, I guess, you know, comfort food. And I do understand that, but, you know, I also think even a lot of people who are going through things, they don't even know that there could potentially be something out there that could help them. And, you know, and this channel is really small. I mean, how many people do we have in here right now? 13 people, 3 thumbs up. Thank you, those 3 people. You know, the channel's so small. There's a lot, I mean, the majority of people do not know about this channel. And there are people out there who are suffering. And I don't know, for me, on a personal level, just being weird. Only you guys are going to hear this because I probably will delete this video. But, you know, sometimes, you know, I feel like we all have different, you know, purposes in life. And I definitely don't know exactly what mine is, but I think that if it has anything to do with like my suffering to create something that helps people, geez, it hasn't been a pleasant ride at all. But if it helps others, that's where it's at. That's where that doctor. Well, somebody comment below. Did any of you guys see that interview? And look, it probably wasn't the best interview. Why? Because I'm not an interviewer, right? I don't interview people. I'm not a, whatever you call it. I'm not a podcast host or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a pro at that. But I was just so excited. I was excited for him to share what these protocols are doing, because they're kind of amazing, and clean water is amazing, hydrogen's amazing. Even the food that comes from the ground is pretty amazing, I think, if you know how to use it all correctly, and and it's hard to admit that all the suffering that brought me to this point, I don't like it, but the fact that it could potentially help others, that gives it all the meaning, Let's see what somebody said. You guys are all saying a bunch of stuff here. Somebody says, Jair Wink says, good morning. I really enjoyed the video with Dr. Diego. It said episode 1 on the cover. Is there an episode 1? Because I didn't find it. Oh, that's weird. It should have said episode 2, because the first one I did was with a different doctor. Yeah, Diego is such, obviously I've spoken to him off camera. That guy is so nice. And he's deep. Like, when I say deep, it's great if a doctor is smart, and there's a ton of smart doctors. This guy was not just smart. Like, he thought about things deeply. He tried to find better ways to control the diabetes that, the hand he was dealt. And he just looks at what works. And it does surprise me too, because like he said, nothing that he ever did worked as good as this new protocol that he's following. And, he wanted to share it too. He wanted to share it because he knows that it could potentially help people. And just remember, it's funny because I get people telling me, and I understand, people tell me things like, oh, I can't afford to buy organic food, or I can't afford to buy the carbon distiller to clean my water, or whatever. And of course, I'm thinking, can you afford not to? I mean, are you going to regret it later? Only because you end up getting sick, or something ends up happening, or maybe you already are sick, and it sucks. The good news is I understand, like, if it were up to me, I wish I could give it all away for free. That's what I wish I could do. But the thing is that, yeah, Elon Musk should buy everybody some of this equipment, right? But the thing is that at some point your life's going to be over. And if you can prolong it, especially if you got people that you care about and people who depend on you, whether you have kids, again, husband or wife, or you just want to be around longer for the grandkids or whatever, it just takes a little, because once that opportunity is gone, it's gone. And, it's hard to reverse a lot of this stuff. It's better to prevent. I'll tell you one thing, way better to prevent it. That's the one thing in Japanese medicine that they do very different than Americans. They try to do a lot of preventative care. Let's see here. Oh, more thumbs up. Thank you, guys. We got 9. Let's see. The next one, Nicho Libre says, I think episode 1 is with Joy Kong. Yeah, that's what I thought. You might find it by searching her name. Yeah, the second episode, the one I just released it a while ago. What was it, last night? Patty Schmidt says, my sister has Huntington disease. If you believe in prayer, please pray for her. Oh, that's very sweet. But we can look that up and see if there's something that she can do. Remember, you have to take action too, right? Prayer is a beautiful thing, and that's great too. Somebody says, good evening from Norway. Linda says, yes. Gardner says, please show us how to clean the hydrogen machine. That is, watch video 426. It's all in detail there, all of it. And you can see me doing it. I explain the whole thing. It's a lot easier to watch that video than me to try to explain it right now. Jair says, thank you, Nicho. Cecil says, I believe you are doing what you are supposed to do. or you wouldn't have done it. That's probably correct. J.R. Wing says, oh, okay. It did say episode 2. Oh, okay. And then somebody says, hello from Greece. And J.R. Wing says, I would like a consult. My family has been racked with MS. I font have MS, but have been very ill and sensitive. Oh, I assume he says I don't have MS. Well, J.R. and then Edid says, hi, Greg. Hey. Yeah, if you want to do a consult, you can email me and we can try to figure that out. Or yeah, just do that and include a phone number, and I'll do my best to reach out. And for those who have been sending me messages who've been wanting consults, if I haven't gotten back to you, I apologize. It's been, yeah, it's funny. I'm so small, like my channel is so small, and not a lot of people know about me. But I must admit, I'm busy. I'm very, very busy. It's like it never ends, and but it's hard for me to say no, to people who obviously need help. And yeah, MS, in my opinion, is something that I mean, am I going to go as far as saying it can be fixed? I'm not going to go that far, but I do think that it's something that can be prevented for longer periods of time. And I also think it's something that can definitely be improved. And then beyond that, we might be surprised. That's all I can say, because I mean, I've seen crazy things. And it's shocking sometimes. I had a doctor, funny. I had a doctor laugh at me a little bit. He wasn't trying to be rude, but he really wanted to know some of the details to my protocol. And why? Why would he want to know? Well, because he had a patient, and some of the results. In fact, you guys stay tuned, because I interviewed somebody else. It was a testimonial of somebody with some major medical problems. Oh my gosh, the list was so long. This poor woman, guys, it was heartbreaking. And I don't know, they found me. I was about to say, I don't know how they found me, but I'm just remembering they told me how they found me. They saw me somewhere on a show. And I guess they were just desperate, or they said they just felt it or something. So they decided to reach out, and we did a full consult, blah, blah, blah. We talked a lot about different things that I would personally do, because I never get medical advice. I mean, this woman's already going to doctor. She's getting her medical advice, though she said that they weren't helping her. And you'll see the interview. It's going to be coming up soon. It was very touching, very powerful. And the husband admitted, he said, I was skeptical. He said, I was skeptical, quite skeptical. He said, but I was so desperate. He said, I had tried so many supplements, doctors, herbs, like just tons of stuff he was mentioning. And he said, I was just desperate, and I saw my wife suffering. And guys, if you can even imagine, this guy loves his wife. He saw her suffering and being like helpless. He couldn't help her. And it was just heartbreaking. And he was willing to do anything. And he couldn't even afford the equipment and everything that he needed. So he just made payments, which sucks, right? That you'd have to do that. But he was saying the thing that was really expensive was all the medical bills. That's the stuff that was running them into the quote unquote poorhouse. And then like I said, he was skeptical, but they started doing the health protocol. And well, you're going to see the video, because he says, I'm a believer now. He says, after not only what they saw happen, it wasn't just them. They said, who was probably the most shocked? I mean, they were all shocked, all of them. But he told me it was her doctors. By the time they saw her get better, and they told her that she needed surgery, and they told her, I mean, again, you'll see the full interview. I'll release that one too, just like Dr. Diego's. And when they saw the results, apparently the doctors were just absolutely shocked. They were like, what in the world did you do? Yeah, it was really, really touching. You know why it's so touching? It's Man, yeah, I can only tell you this if I'm going to delete the video. I don't want to get too emotional here, but it's just so crazy sometimes what we have to go through before we decide to change, you know? And I thought about it, I reflected a lot on my life too, because I realized, I guess I've known, but I don't know, maybe I hadn't thought about it for a while. Like, I would never do the things that I'm doing. Like, I would never eat like this. I would never do any of this. That was not my personality, guys. If you knew my personality, man, I was in self-destruct mode. And what I can tell you is, it was a suffering that got me to change. And it's funny, after I just got used to it. In fact, I just got used to living like this, that if I don't live like this, I just don't feel good. When you eat right and you do the right things for the human body, and in my opinion, the way God intended it, which I don't think a lot of people know what, quote unquote, God intended for the human body. I think that's a little bit of I don't want to say a secret, but kind of. And does it take some discipline? At first it does. But then later on, all I can tell you is it's a lifestyle. You can't just do this you can stop for a while and you'll be fine. I've known people who've done that. But then eventually, if you go back to your old habits, it all begins to start happening all over again. And I don't know. I think it just depends on what you value in life. What's important to you. And health is, to me, health is actually really connected to spirituality. I can share something with you that I'd be curious if you guys have even noticed this, because I think it's interesting. When you look at somebody who's like super, super spiritual, let's say even like the story of Jesus, right? Super spiritual guy, going around, and what exactly is he doing, right? He's going around talking to people, preaching about the truth, or preaching about God, or whatever he decides to be preaching about, right? And he's doing that. And what else is he doing? Because as far as I can see, Jesus is only doing two things. He's either going around preaching about the truth and going about healing people, right? So he's either healing or preaching. Isn't that what he's doing? And, those are the two most, because healing is life. And life seems to be really, really close to, life is God, and death is the opposite of it, light and darkness. And so I think that, I don't know, I talked about it on one of the podcasts that's not out yet, that you guys will see if you stay tuned, that, this body is, for people who believe, it doesn't matter what religion really, in my opinion, but this body to me is the temple. God lives within all of us, and we can make choices, good or bad choices, right? And one thing I can say that I feel that I've learned through this whole process is treat this body with respect. To disrespect the body is like to disrespect, one, you're disrespecting yourself, and by the way, I'm not perfect. I'm not trying to be preaching, I still don't live perfectly. I try to do what I can, but I know I don't live perfectly all the time. And, but to respect the body is, in my personal opinion, to respect God. I think that whenever you get a gift, to respect that gift says something about, it's like if some samurai or something gave me this like beautiful sword, or this, like in Japan, these guys make these swords. And if they gave it to me as a gift, I honor and respect that person by respecting the gift and taking care of it. Or if your father or grandpa or someone gave you like an old classic car, you don't just go beat the heck out of it and let it sit outside and rot. You clean it, you take care of it, you maintain it. You show your love that way. And it really is all about love, guys. I mean, honestly, that's why I'm doing what I'm this whole thing. Not only out of respect for myself and this body, but it's for you guys too. You know, I'm showing you guys some love by showing you the things that, you know, and I went through a lot in order to figure all this out. You know, sometimes the answers can be relatively simple, but it can be extremely hard to figure them out. I spent a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort, and a lot of suffering to try to, you know, figure a lot of these things out. And I think loving one another, you know, I agree with what Jesus said when he said, love one another as I have loved you in every aspect of life. If you're a farmer, grow the best food, you know, because it's going to go into somebody's body. You know, if you're going to build a hydrogen machine, build the best one. Don't cut corners. Don't make crappy stuff just because you want to make bigger profits. If you're going to build a car, build it right. Make it reliable. If you're going to build a house, build it right. Make it quality so that the people who live in it don't have to, you know, have a leaky roof because somebody put the shingles on wrong or whatever, or they were in a hurry. You know, anything you do, do it the highest love, you know, because somewhere deeper, even if somebody doesn't know it or doesn't see it, God sees everything, guys. There is no hiding from that. You know, I don't talk about it a lot, but you know, I did have what you call, whatever you want to call it, but you know, some people call it near-death experiences, you know, when you go to the other side. And I learned a lot when I went to the other side. You know, for one, I learned that God really exists. That was something I wasn't certain of. But I learned a lot about the things that we do in life and how it impacts others. And I'm telling you, it impacts way more than you know sometimes. And it's actually a very strange verse in scripture where Jesus is literally getting beaten. He's getting beaten so bad. And what does he do? He knows that these people who are doing it to him don't understand the ramifications of their choices. And he immediately just says, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. And that's love, guys. He was already asking for those people's forgiveness because he knew the pain and suffering that was going to come on them for what they had done. But that's for all of us in life. When you do things and you're not good to each other, it's going to cause you pain. I can promise you that. And that's weird for me to say that actually, but I can say that because when I did go to the other side, I saw it. I felt it, and it was extremely painful. And I wasn't even a terrible person. I can't imagine what some people will see, but it was very hurtful to see the tiny little decisions that I had made could potentially hurt somebody. Even just maybe a comment, just something small that can hurt so bad. And that's why, yeah, just loving each other is going to be something that, you know, and being kind and all these type of things it's something that will affect you even into the other life. Okay. Wow, we got 14 thumbs up. All right. We only got a very small amount of people in here. Let's see here. Nicho says, Greg, any thoughts on AGEs or advanced glycation and products? Is there a risk of getting them in the protocol from mixing all the protein, fats, and carbs? Well, I don't know what that product is, but the thing about the protocol right now is that it doesn't seem like it really needs much. You know, like one of my goals with doing this was to keep it simple and to try to make it honestly as cheap as possible. You know, I don't want to have to take a million supplements. I don't want to have to buy a million products. You know, I've told, this is the foundation, the stuff that you need foundationally, or at least the protocol that I created for myself, and that some people decide to follow, and you can see in the videos the results. Which is, you need a blender, you need the best hydrogen generator, because the crappy one doesn't, you know, they don't seem, in my opinion, I don't see them doing anything amazing, and the engineering on them, whatever, don't get me started. But if the cheap stuff worked, I would just tell you that it does, but I haven't seen it work. Dr. Diego tried the cheap stuff too. I've seen a lot of doctors that just don't know anything about hydrogen. They choose the wrong stuff because they don't know. They're not specialists in this field. It's not their fault. And then the other item you need is a carbon distiller. I mean, that's all you need foundationally. Carbon distiller, you got to clean your water, guys. You know, water is, to me, water is a very, very spiritual thing, and it's a beautiful thing. And I think it's something that oftentimes gets overlooked and underappreciated. Even the air, I mean, we're breathing it right now, and you probably sometimes don't even realize it or think about it, you know. But clean air and clean water are honestly extremely important to me, and I will probably do just about anything to have them. And maybe even go to some extremes. I mean, carbon distilling the water takes a while. You know, usually it takes about 3 to 6 hours to make 1 gallon. You know, but and it can heat up the house, which is good during the cold weather, but not so good during hot weather. But I don't care. I want clean water, and that's all there is to it for me. And I mean, I'll literally travel halfway around the world, which I have, and I will probably do more in the future. You know, I got my own plans because, as I said, life is very short, and some people agree, some people don't agree, and whatever. But I know that I'm getting towards the latter end of my life, probably like a lot of us. And at some point, yeah, you I don't know. You have to think about what you want to do in life, guys. And I've been drawn and compelled to something all my life, and it was pretty solidified that day when I'll just say there's certain things that happened to me that solidified what I want to do. But yeah, so for the average person, not to get lost track, but yeah, I don't think you need any more supplements. But that's just my opinion. I'd have to look at them, but I'm probably not going to be a fan. I mean, and the only thing that I would like, there's a few things that I would like to add to this smoothie regularly. Like I think broccoli sprouts would be amazing. I think, I don't know, avocado would be amazing. I think I'm adding the turmeric root, which I didn't normally do. In fact, because they're so expensive, I found a place that was selling them at a good deal, and I just went there yesterday to get more, and the guy, they literally only had one more, and I said, what happened? He goes, oh, sometimes we get good deals and we'll buy stuff like that, but you know, he said that might be the last of it. And I was like, oh no. I was really enjoying putting in the smoothie. And what else did I want to put in here? Oh, chlorella. Yeah, Purium's offering chlorella too. In fact, the doctor's doing it. Diego's doing that one. He's following the protocol so well, like perfectly. If anything, he might even be doing a few things that I'm not doing, because his health is, as he said in the video, you know, it's so important. It's just so important, you know. And he thinks that the protocol is going to add years to his life, because there's certain statistics, like he was talking about A1C, and how it can be a marker that basically, depending on those numbers, you can kind of dictate how long somebody will stick around or how many years of your life it will rob you of and whatever. All I can say is, for those of you who haven't seen that interview, and again, I probably didn't do the best job interviewing. Just say that straight up right now. So maybe some people are like, oh, it was terrible. But the information was, you know, I mean, you're talking about a guy who's a doctor or a surgeon, and you can see how this is all affecting his diabetes, and he's like a professional at diabetes, guys. I mean, he wants to have perfection, and he looked for it. You know, he looked for it. He tried a ton of stuff. He was trying to create his own protocols. And yeah, I'm just glad he found me. If I can, you know, I'm telling you, and if we can touch anybody's lives, sometimes it doesn't have to be 1 million people. It could just be one, you know. Okay, let's see here. Let's see. Next person, Patty says, thank you so much. We are just all a mess. Yeah, you're probably right. J. Irving says, I sent an email last week, but I knew you were busy. Been sick 42 years and have trued a lot. Been maybe through a lot is what I'm guessing. Wondering if your ideas can help me further. I'm still trying. Oh, I apologize. If you emailed me, email again. Sometimes they get lost in the shuffle there. Then Jair says, when I became disabled and ate my first sweet potato, I told my mother My life has just totally changed. We were raised on the sad diet. So sad, but we didn't know better back then. I get it, Jair. I grew up on garbage food myself. Sissel says, have you met the mystical couple in Japan again? You know, I haven't. They invited me a long time ago. And to be honest, I started getting sick around that time when, and I wasn't able to go back, though some strange things, happened since I met them. And I don't even know, it's funny. A lot of the word, it's funny that you bring that up. A lot of the words that they told me, one specifically, there was like a message, because these people, I don't know, a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about probably right now. I met this couple, and I don't know what you'd call them. I mean, you could call them a psychic couple, a spiritual couple. I don't know what you'd call these couple, but they were extremely impressive. They impressed me so much, and they're probably not even, they're not well known in the world at all. Nobody knows them. In fact, when I met them, very, very few people probably knew this couple, because I won't go into the whole story, but I was told to go to their shop. It was actually for somebody else. It wasn't for me. And we had a really strange spiritual experience when I went there. I mean, they started telling me things about my life that they shouldn't know. And I was thinking, how in the world do you know this? And things that they started telling me, things that nobody would know, stuff that I had not told anybody, things that I was thinking privately in my own head, and just in life. And they blew my mind, because I'm a skeptic. I mean, somebody says, oh, they're psychic and they can read your minds. I'm like, whatever. Nobody's going to be reading my mind. Like, and it was beyond mind reading. I mean, they told me different things, but one thing, I'll share with you one thing they told me. And to be quite honest, when they told me, I didn't understand it. I was like, I don't get it. I really want to understand what you're trying to convey to me. But it took years, guys, years. And after all these years, their voice rings in my head, actually. Same thing. And it was that last message. And they give me a lot of messages, though. There's a lot of important things they said to me. Some I even kept quite private, because yeah, it just gets real crazy and deep, and I'll probably only get judged and people say weird stuff. Internet's a cruel place. But the one thing they told me was, they said, just stay true to your heart. And I was thinking, stay true to my heart, what does that mean? But as life progresses, and you dig, at least I do, I dig all the time, and I'm always trying to dig for more love, more wisdom, more knowledge, more things that can help my life or others. And usually things that I find to help my life can affect others in a positive way too, right? And then eventually you come across crossroads. I mean, this is a stupid one, because it wasn't really much of a choice, but I had, like, for example, certain companies would reach out to me, and they were trying to offer me money to promote certain products, but products that I would never even use, or that I didn't even think were good. And so you stay true to your heart. You stay true to what I originally made a promise. And my promise was that, no matter what, I would always share with you guys what I found to be the best, in my opinion, whether the best way to clean water, or the best way to make hydrogen, or the best way to, eat, or whatever, all the things that I could find, instead of pushing more supplements and more products, because that's really what a lot of the, YouTubers or different people out there who are supposed to be biohackers or whatever, they just always want you to buy more stuff. And that's why I said with what I do, I'm trying to do the opposite. I don't want to buy more stuff. I want to have the minimum I can have and maximize my benefits. I just didn't expect it to be this way. I didn't expect that I didn't expect these protocols to do some of the things I've been witnessing. And I think it's the true power. My personal opinion is, as crazy as it may sound, is just the true power of God's creation. Like, if you just know, it's almost like He already gave us everything, all the pieces that we needed. We just have to learn how to put them together like a puzzle. And again, staying true to the heart, like the guy who created that gorgeous hydrogen machine that I love so much, because of everything it's done for me. And you're going to see more videos. I mean, there's been so many testimonials throughout the years, but I never filmed them before. And I just started filming some of them, the people who are at least willing to talk, because some of the people don't even want to share them. They don't want to be on camera. They're shy or they're embarrassed or whatever. But the amount of lives that little thing has touched, and it's still not that well known. And it isn't, in my opinion, it's an absolute masterpiece. And hydrogen is one of those things that clearly God must have created, right? It's a gas like oxygen, and it just seems to be so amazing. And but when that guy did it, he definitely did it from the heart. That's what I love about. I mean, one day I've never met the guy, and one of these days I want to, at least before I go, and thank him, because he didn't cut the corners. He didn't try to go to China and try to create something that makes makes profit. He wanted to just do it all in Japan because he wanted to do it the best that he could. And that's staying true to your heart, because he did it because of his daughter, and he loves his daughter. How could you cut corners when your daughter is going to be the one using this thing, And so it's just one of those things. And I've come to find in life that I love that. I love when people do something from the heart. And so you just have to find what's in your heart and then stay true to it, and don't ever let anything change your mind. If you're going to, there's things that can sway you in life. Money can take you down a different, path. Corruption, because people get tempted. And when people get tempted, they start going down a different path sometimes. Like I could have got tempted to be like, oh, I'm the hydrogen man. And I could, honestly, guys, I could be promoting easily 20 different hydrogen products and probably easily 50. And I could just be promoting everything under the sun. And I know I could have made millions of dollars. I'm not kidding when I tell you, lots of companies have approached me throughout the years, and they wanted me to promote hydrogen stuff and garbage stuff that I just wouldn't do. So I stayed true to the message, because for me, the message originally was, when I was sick, I did pray to God, and I was like, show me the way to try to improve my life. And if you do, I promise that I will share with other people so they can help other people too. So I put myself through the ringer before I ever put anybody else through the ringer. I put myself through it. And I tried all these different things, a lot of wasted money, a lot of wasted time, sometimes even taking things that weren't good for me, that I thought would be good for me. And I did all those sacrifices. And let me blend this up. It's going to be noisy, and we'll see if it even blends. This thing is really full today. But I always had to stay true to my heart. Because in my heart of hearts, well, here, let's just make sure. Okay. Yeah, because in my heart of hearts, and I believe that most people feel this way, we want the best for others. If any of us see somebody suffering, I don't think we like it. I mean, I don't like it. It's painful to see somebody who's in pain, and it's the worst when you feel hopeless, or maybe more helpless, that you can't do something for them, to help them. And it reaches a point where, and I've seen this myself, sadly, it reaches a point where you'd be willing to do anything, including maybe taking some things that aren't even good for you. You just want the pain to stop. You're just like, I know this is no good for me, but I'll do it just because the suffering needs to end. And I have definitely experienced that much more than I'd like to admit. My suffering has completely crushed me. And I will forever be scarred until the day I leave, and I know that. But if something good can come out of it, that's the important part. Something good has to come out of it. And I believe something has. You know, this whole thing has been a wild ride, right? It's not the funnest ride, but we hope that it can affect people in positive ways. And by the way, more to come, because I told you guys there's doctors are taking notice, you know, of what these protocols have been doing to some people. And there's already been some testing, and there's going to be more. And you know, even yeah, so I'm not supposed to say a lot about it, so that's why I'm kind of being a little vague about it. But when the data's finally done and official and you guys can see it, you know, I'll definitely share it with you guys. So the very few people found this small little channel who actually care, maybe, or just want to try something different or whatever. Okay, so let's see, what time is it? Okay, I can answer a few more questions and then I'll let you go. I'm going to do my, oh yay, it's time for me to do my hydrogen inhalation. That's why I bought this new machine. That is literally why I bought this new one, guys, because, and all you gotta do is you hit the button. People have questions about this. I put it on 90. I'll turn off the lights. And then you can start inhaling right away. Okay, let's see if I can answer a few of your questions while I have my breakfast here, and then I'll let you guys go because I got a lot of things to do today. Put one of the magic ingredients, hemp hearts. These things are magical. It's so funny because the plant that these come from is illegal in so many places, and yet it's quite possibly one of the most nutritious foods there is. It's so unbelievable. I'm not just saying that, it's the truth. Well, in my opinion, how's that? In my opinion, it appears to be one of the most well-balanced omega-3s and 6s in the world. Crazy. Okay. Let's see what questions I missed, and then I'll say goodbye. Okay. Oh yeah, have I met the mystical people in Japan? I could share more of that with you guys if you really want to know. Deb says, hi Greg, remind me again, is it okay to inhale hydrogen all night while you're sleeping? Yes, Deb. You can, in my opinion, you can definitely do that. As long as, and I always say this, and I'm sure you already know, as long as it's made right, the purity has to be there. I've seen machines where they recommend to inhale them all night, and I would never inhale at all from those machines, though I had in the past. And some of those actually made me sick, and I was like, what? And then I studied the engineering aspect of hydrogen and realized, I realized that people cut corners and they don't care about people. I just do not get it, guys. It's all about, well, this is the money sign in Japanese, but it's all about the money. And they do not care about human life. And I say I don't understand, and I don't, but I think it really has a lot to do with what's in people's hearts. Greed is a powerful thing, apparently, for some. Maybe for a lot of people. Okay. Nicho Libre says, Greg, I'm considering taking a 30 species plant supplement for different fibers. It's all natural. Have you heard of Zoe Daily? No, I don't believe in getting any fiber from supplements. So I immediately would say no. You want to get them from your actual food, the way that I literally just did it. I mean, it isn't that complicated, Nicho. I believe you and I have spoken before, and we went over the protocol already. I will tell you, every time somebody tries to alter it, like even the doctor, the results would go away. I did it a certain way for a reason. It's not expensive. It's not that difficult. I would just stop with the supplements. I actually interviewed a doctor, and I couldn't release the video because, yeah, she said some pretty negative things about supplements, but she said a lot of crazy stuff. Not just crazy stuff, stuff that is really, it's crazy, but it's really good. but I can't release it on YouTube because I already know it'll get my. She said all the things that I never say because I know that it'll get me in trouble, which sucks because I wish I could say whatever I want, right? Free speech. Next one, Michelle says, "I love your integrity." Well, thank you. Well, thank you. That's very kind of you. It would eat me up inside if I went against my heart anyway. Cecil says, "Yes, please share more of the couple." Oh, yeah, I could share a little bit more about that if you guys want. I have a video where I share the whole story. It's on my channel. Nietzsche says, "It's all actual food in the supplement. It's supposed to add variety to the gut bugs." Well, okay, let's pull it up real quick. Nietzsche. All right, let's see. Let's see what it is, and I'll give you my honest opinion. Let's see. It's called Zoe Daily. Okay, Zoe Daily. All right, we'll see. Okay. Here's their website, zoe.com. Okay. Let's see if I'm down with this thing. I'm going to look at the ingredients. And their website's already giving me trouble. I hate when they do this. They try to get you to, they force you to click on certain things, and I don't like that. So right there already, I don't like that. So I'm going to try to find the information on a different site. Okay, let's see here. Okay, I mean, so far I'm not a huge fan, but I'm still looking for. Yeah, see, here's the problem with a lot of these supplements. I'm not saying that. I mean, they're saying here that they have kombucha and seaweed and legumes and nuts and seeds and herbs and mushrooms and vegetables and fruit and all that sounds great, right? The problem is I don't want these certain foods. I want them to have water. I want the whole, like the nut, and I have the nuts, soak them in water. The legumes, I don't want them dried and then brought down to a powder. The only powders that I typically a fan of is things like chlorella, spirulina. There's certain things that I'm okay with, but am I saying it's a terrible product? No, but it's just, again, just another supplement, and I don't think it's necessary. And to be honest, what's really amazing for the gut is hydrogen. In fact, you're going to see that on this next interview that I'm doing. Transformed this woman's gut, took no supplements, and she had major problems. It was so bad that the doctors were like, one, they told her that she needed surgery. She had been going to them, she was going there almost every week, because of how sick she was, just constantly. So anyway, am I a fan of this product? I wouldn't want to spend the money, but if you like it, it's up to you. Okay, moving on. Okay. Nietzsche, I love you, Greg. Thanks for your time. No worry, Nietzsche. My apologies if I'm not saying what you want to hear, but I'm not going to buy it. That tells you anything. I always try to just show you guys what I do. So that way, what I'm doing, you can disagree with it if you want. But I will say, and I already said it once, I was a little surprised because when you modify certain things that I do, I'm fine. People can do whatever they want. But when the results are being measured, you get less results. And that means that the way that I had set up, one thing that Dr. Diego, maybe he's being modest or whatever, I don't know. But when we're talking offline, he's like, this is reaching, as far as blood glucose stability, which is like super important for health. He's like, I've never seen something so perfect. Never. You can't achieve It's like trying to achieve, it's hard to achieve perfection. And he had tried so many things. And when he did my protocol, he saw what he was calling like, this is pretty close to perfection, if not perfection. And that you don't see that. That's why it was so impressive, and but I don't think that'll mess it up a ton. But okay, let's move on. Michelle says, yes, I also believe God gave us everything that we need naturally on earth. Yes, most natural protocols take longer to get results than conventional ways, but must trust God knows best. Yes, yes, yes. Natural, it's natural. I mean, it doesn't even mean a specific religion. Anyway, yesterday you asked if you should release the video on the results of urine therapy. Oh, that's right. I forgot to do that. I think you should release the results only if you do the urine therapy. I think you should release the results only if you do the urine therapy. Oh, it was just data. It wasn't really results as much as it was the data from testing that this doctor had done and then the results that he was seeing. Personally, I think it's good information just to have because you never know when you might have no other alternative. And yeah. Okay. One Jack Shepherd 466 says, where is the protocol for all you are taking and doing in addition to the Lourdes hydrogen? So just so you understand, the protocols, there's not just one protocol. I have different levels and different types depending on the person, their habits, where they live, even how much they can afford, how much they're willing to sacrifice, and a lot of it depends again on their conditions, because you can't have the same protocol for somebody who has cancer or somebody who has kidney disease, to somebody who just had a stroke. They're different. So all I can tell you, this is why, unfortunately, I do like these consults where I talk with people, which is very time consuming. It's not something, to be honest, it's not something I particularly like to do because I have so much to do in my own life. But when somebody's hurting or suffering, it's very hard for me to say no. If I know people's issues, I typically know if I can help them or not. And so all I can tell you, just to keep it, I guess, quote, as brief as possible, is that I wanted to look up something real quick. Obviously, foundationally for my protocols is the cleanest water there is. Watch my video 388. The best hydrogen in the world. I've made multiple videos about that. How to use the hydrogen properly. That would be video 337. And that is based on the equipment that I use, because you can't give the same protocol on hydrogen to just anybody with different equipment. So it comes down to the equipment. It's like having a pill that's 5 milligrams and then having another one that's 20 milligrams. You can't take 5 of those pills because they'll be different based on the equipment or based on the pills. But I wanted to go back to something that somebody asked a little bit ago about Huntington's disease. So it does say that it's inherited disorder that causes nerve cells in part of the brain to gradually break down and die. In my opinion, this is my opinion because somebody asked about Huntington's disease. In fact, let's go back to their comment because I was making this smoothie at that time, and I'm going to have to let you guys go pretty soon, just so you know. But it was Patty that said, my sister has Huntington's disease. If you believe in prayer, pray for her. Well, I can tell you, Patty, in my personal opinion, this is why there's no claim here. Based on what I'm reading about it, and based on what I'm seeing here at the National Institute of Neurological Disorders from the NIH, and they explain what the disorder is and everything else. In my opinion, could some of the stuff that I do for myself be helpful for something like this? Yes, in my opinion, this can be something that could get better, or potentially, I don't want to go as far as saying gone, but Because right here it says there is no treatment that can stop or reverse. They call it HD, Huntington disease. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't personally believe that because I've seen so many things that they've told me have no treatment. I've worked with people with dementia and Alzheimer's and TBI and Crohn's disease and celiac disease, or now some of those. So in my opinion, this is sad because they're saying there's nothing, and I personally think hydrogen would make a massive difference. But so this is just my opinion. But yeah, after looking at it, so see, when there's something that I believe these protocols can't help, I'll just tell you straight up, like if you have a deformity, it's not going to fix your deformity. If you had your pancreas removed, is it going to regrow your pancreas? No. And once your pancreas is removed, well, now you need to use insulin the rest of your life. Are you going to be able to fix that? No, you're going to have to use insulin for the rest of your life. But this one, if you guys can contact me, only if she's, very gung-ho about doing whatever she needs to do to get better. Otherwise, there's no point in wasting anybody's time. Okay. Next one. Cecil says, have you released a video where you show a protocol for kidney stones? No. Now, the reason you get kidney stones, in my personal opinion, is you're already doing certain things wrong. So in my personal opinion, and I know it's a bold statement and I'm open to the fact that I might be wrong, but I actually think it's self-induced. You're actually doing it to yourself based on the things that your body is not running right. Okay. Do I believe that some of my protocols are really good for it? Well, I've actually seen scans. So I've seen scans. Gosh, I should really remember. I've been doing this a long time, and there's a lot of stuff I don't release. I still have a brain scan from the Mayo Clinic of somebody's brain tumor that went away, before my protocol and after, and I still haven't released that. But this particular case with what was it? Shoot. Oh, the kidney stones. I've literally seen scans where the kidney stones start getting tiny or disappearing. They start dissolving. But no, I don't have a video. I had one and I had to delete it because a lot of this stuff gets really controversial. I don't know why, actually, but apparently it does. But in my opinion, that is something that could be fixed. Just my opinion. No claims, guys. Oh, let me just bring this a little closer. Maybe that's easier. Okay. Jayer says, what is your email? Maybe I got it wrong. Oh, it's uprising144k@gmail.com. Always include phone numbers. I just try to call people when I get a chance. I don't tend to just sit here and write emails back. I just call people while I'm doing stuff. It's the only time I have any free time. Michelle says, I'm new to your channel. Where can I find your protocol? Oh, I just explained all that. So there's different protocols for different things. Foundationally, clean water is part of my protocol. Watch video 388. The best hydrogen in the world is part of my protocol. That one is kind of all over my channel. I talk about hydrogen all the time. The Holy Hydrogen machine, that's the only one that I use. I'm not going to be using any other machine out there. If there's a good one someday, I'll let you guys know. But so far, I haven't seen anything else that I'm going to be using a different piece of equipment. And then have a blender. And then watch video 337 will be helpful. But remember, I don't know what you have. And you can't just make a blanket recommendation to everybody. So, if you really want to talk in more detail, one, you could tell us what you have, and I can tell you, in my opinion, whether it's something that's fixable or just improvable, or there is no fixing it. And then beyond that, if you want to do a full consult, maybe. I'm not trying to be rude to anybody out there, but I'm just going to put it out there. I will not do consults with people who don't feel that they're completely committed. I just don't do that anymore. I've done it. I don't have the time to waste, guys. I have got so much on my plate that I don't have time to work with people who, in the end, they're not even going to do it. I was really disappointed, to be quite honest. He was a nice guy. You might be watching right now. I did a consult with somebody recently, and something was feeling weird about the consult, and I asked him, I'm like, "Are you even going to follow any of this?" And he was like, "I don't know, maybe." And I was thinking, then why are we doing this? Because I want to see people get better. By the way, that's what I want to see. I want to see people get better, and then people doubt the protocol, and then if they doubt it, they'll never see the magical benefits of it ever. And sometimes people just have to take the plunge. It was the doctor that I just interviewed. He was the same way. He was honest with me. He's like, what you're telling me goes against everything I was taught in medical school. You're having me increase carbohydrate intake. He goes, I'm a diabetic. This is going to make me use more insulin. What ended up happening? He had to drop his insulin by almost 80%. He's like, it was crazy. He's like, and this is from a guy who was taking like super good care of himself. So almost an 80% drop. If it was somebody who wasn't taking care of themselves, that would make more sense. But somebody who was taking care of himself, that shows you how big of an impact this protocol was having on him. And so same thing with the other couple that you're going to see soon coming out in the next podcast. The husband was skeptical. I get being skeptical. I really do get it. You know, I don't know. I guess I'll just leave it at that. It's kind of one of my little frustrations that because people, I give my time and then they're not even really thinking they're going to do it, or they try to modify it. That always drives me nuts because they try to change what I created for them. And then if it doesn't work for them, they get upset. And it's like, you changed it. You really should be trying to follow it the way that it was designed to be used. So anyway, hopefully that helps. Cecil says, thank you. That's my belief too. And Patty says, thank you, Greg. This is an awful disease. She is bedbound, sadly. Yeah, Patty, I'm telling you. You can email me. I can give you some pointers. There are things that can be done, but she has to be willing to do them. If she's not willing to do them, it won't work, clearly. So, and it is a terrible, terrible, sad thing. So it's up to you, Patty. But if you want to reach out, you can. And I'll do my best to give you a call. Okay. All right, guys. Yeah, so I got to go soon. I'll give you a few more moments if anybody has any final questions. Otherwise, I'll get going. Any of you guys watch? I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but I listened, saw a little bit of the halftime show. But yeah, I probably, it was probably crazy for you guys, but I was actually I was invited to supposedly go to the Super Bowl, but I didn't go. I'm actually don't like huge crowds. I don't know. I think I'd rather be in the mountains, in a hot spring in Japan. And people probably be like, dude, you're nuts. I'd rather be at the Super Bowl. It's like, I get it. It can be fun for some people. I like weird stuff. What am I going to say? You can call me a weirdo if you want. Okay, if there's no last questions, I will let you guys go. Today's video is probably not super helpful, but hopefully it was. I'm just going to get more of my nutrients here. Some people I think I'm weird for even drinking these smoothies, which I'm telling you guys, see, obviously I don't like to make any claims, right? But what I'm going to be real excited about, and I mean it, I mean truly excited, when this doctor is done with his testing, I'll let him make the claims. I'll let him just actually forget the claims. He's just going to show you the data, so you guys can just see the data. Okay. Thanks for all the thumbs up. 22. I don't see any more questions, so I'm going to let you guys go, okay? So thanks for hanging out. And I'll see you guys next time on the next one. I'll check my emails and try to get back to you guys. And then Cecil says, thank you for all you share with us. I'm very grateful. Oh, thank you. Now, see, I really appreciate. Gratitude, in my opinion, is a very powerful and beautiful thing. And that's something that I've tried to dig in my life and find more gratitude, because I've noticed that it brings me more joy. And joy and happiness have been at the top of my list pretty much, other than there is one. I don't know if anybody wants to write this before you go, because Just kind of a silly thing. Tell me what your favorite emotion is. Like if you can feel any emotion, what's your favorite emotion? And then I'll let you guys go. Nobody? I'll give you a few seconds. Otherwise, like I said, I'll let you go. All these fuzz on my sweats. I know I'm always dressed terribly. I just like to be comfortable. Okay, nobody's saying anything. All right. I'll just tell you my favorite emotion then. Somebody says inner joy. My favorite emotion is peace. I notice that almost everything I do is actually looking for peace. So when you're hungry and you eat, you may think you're happy and maybe you're happy about the taste, but it's the peace that I love. And there's just something beautiful about when you're at peace. But some people like to go and live their lives on the go and maybe live like New York City, right? Like the fast-paced life. And that's cool if that's what they love. But I love peace. It makes me feel more connected to everything. And there's a sense of, I don't know, it's weird because obviously there's a sense of joy and everything else, but I just love peace. So, okay, guys, with that, I will let you go. What kind of peace, right? And then Nietzsche says, I like awe and just gratitude for beauty. Life has almost felt too beautiful. Very nice. All right, guys. Well, thanks for sharing. See you guys next time on the next one. I'll debate whether I should leave this one up. I'm a little bit on the fence here, but it wasn't that important of a video. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe I'll leave it up for a little while. I know some people like to watch them later. Okay, till next time, guys.